Hello everyone, my name is Brian Taylor and I would like to welcome you all to my geological site investigation of the White Sands National Park. So where exactly is White Sands National Park? Well, it is located in the state of New Mexico, in the southern part of the state, just north of the Mexican border. What exactly can be seen at the national park? Well, the park is 275 square miles and is comprised of vast desert and extensive dune fields. As you can see here in the pictures, the desert here and the dune fields there. The geological history. So where did this desert come from? Let's start somewhere approximately 280 million years ago. During this time, what is now New Mexico is said to have been covered by a shallow body of water known as the Permian Sea. Over millions of years that passed, rising and falling sea levels deposited large amounts of minerals on the sea floor. We now move to somewhere around 70 million years ago. Shifting tectonic plates pushed the land up, which created the mountain ranges that millions of years later would border the park. Fast forward again now to 30 million years ago, the tectonic plates move in opposite directions, creating zones and causing large areas of the Earth's crust to drop thousands of feet, forming a basin, which was later cut off from the rest of the sea, forming what was to be known as the ancient Lake Otero, which would cover 1,600 square miles. We are now about 12,000 years ago, and the end of the Ice Age and the subsequent snowmelt transported dissolved minerals from the mountaintops nearby and deposited them into Lake Otero. And as temperatures began to rise, the lake began to evaporate and dry up. So now at 10,000 years ago to present day, and the formation of the dune field. As climate has become hotter and the temperatures have risen, along with stronger winds prevailing, the weathering of exposed minerals began the creation of the desert and the dunes. Rock composition. The vast desert and dune field is comprised of small grains of brilliant white gypsum sand, while in the dry lake bed of Lake Otero there are selenite crystal formations like we can see here in the picture. Geological process. Well, rainwater from storms and snowmelt from the mountaintops stream water to the lowest elevation of the park, which is Lake Otero, pooling and creating a small, shallow lake. Then solar heat then evaporates the water, leaving behind the deposited gypsum, which forms into selenite crystals that line the dry lake bed. The weathering process further causes the selenite crystals to break down into smaller and smaller pieces, eventually becoming grains of gypsum sand that are carried by the wind into the desert surrounding. This cycle is in constant motion of precipitation, evaporation, weathering, and deposition. What can be seen there? Well, there are small shrubs and bushes that can brave the harsh landscape and are scattered across the dunes, while coyotes and foxes hunt desert mice and other small rodents across their path. The hazards. White Sands is similar to other desert landscapes in the hazards aspect that it poses. Intense winds kick up the sands and cause extensive and sometimes severe sandstorms that can easily sneak up on a tourist not paying attention to the weather. The same which can be said when it comes to flash floods. Storms causing heavy rainfall at a moment's notice can sweep across the sand. And lastly would be temperature. During the day, the sun scorches the desert plain, but during the night, the desert temperatures can drop well below freezing, and hypothermia could happen to visitors not prepared for the cold. The future outlook of the park. The interesting aspect of White Sands National Park is that it is constantly growing. Strong winds take existing dunes and move them further and further. Sometimes they can actually move up to 7 feet per day. The geological process that occurs at Lake Otero and the weathering of the selenite crystals is constantly creating more and more gypsum sand, therefore making the desert larger and more extensive each and every day. Mahalo for taking the time to learn about this amazing place, and I recommend traveling there to experience for yourself. Thank you all.